So I received a phone call yesterday, and I want to just give this disclaimer out there. It was not any type of law enforcement or law enforcement agency. However, it was from someone I believe that is clearly just as important. It's not a YouTuber, it's not any of these. It's someone officially that is very important. We're going to leave it at that. There are some things that I can tell you, and I will tell you. They watch the channel. They watch the comments. They appreciate the professionalism from all of us, not just me, from all of you too. And I want to say that makes me so proud of my community because I just love you guys. And speaking of which, please do me a favor, bump that subscribe button and put your DNA on the like too, please, because that really shoots it out there and helps. And you never know, we may have some information that can help them find Nancy. We talked a little bit. This person is very knowledgeable. We talked a little bit, and it was basically asking my thoughts. Not so much opinions, but my thoughts on things and how much I felt this one particular theory is the way that I want to go. And seriously, that's the way that I feel is happening. And that is the Grand Junction. Yeah, I know you're probably tired of hearing me on that one. Yeah, and no, we're not doing the big book of bull today. So I'm just gonna write down here. And I've got 2 pens today. So this is, I believe, day 37 or day 38. You know what? My days I don't even know anymore. And it is Monday, March 9th of 2026. Now, here's some talking points that I want to share with you that I shared with this person. It was a little intense. Was it a little intimidating? A couple of parts were. But, you know, sometimes when you get these calls, when I would get these calls, they want to know if you, let me see if I can say this correctly. They want to know if you stand by your theory or not. And that is the truth. I bring that up because this morning, as I was preparing my notes for this video, I was watching a live streamer. I really like him. And this woman came on, made some very, very big claims. She knew who this was. She knew who did it. So she got a call right away. And the first thing that she said, and you know me, I am a psychic medium. Well, what does that do? And quite frankly, I get turned off by that. And so many people get turned off. And then the second thing is, well, I call and they just hang up on me. I call the tip line and they hang up on me. Well, if you would have heard the conversation, you would have understood why. And it's embarrassing. And I'm sorry that I'm just sorry for that, because it gives a bad light for those of us who really do what we can to help. So now let's do this. This case, when I talked to them, and they agreed, does not look like a ransom. And when I was asked what it looks like, this is what I told them. This looks like revenge. Now, there's some logic. And when you're dealing, especially in my genre of being a forensic intuitive, a tarot profiler, your forensics need to be based on data, data, evidence. It needs to be based on evidence. It just can't be a woo-woo, okay, let me see. If it's a Gen X guy, whatever. Sorry. It has to be solid. It has to be, you have to be knowledgeable, and you read on the evidence that is already there. Now, yes, some law enforcement, this cow was not, but some law enforcement, the agent obligadas, will say, just tell me. And I don't like that. And I don't read like that. I don't give a general reading on a forensic case. You're gonna miss the mark. Because I'll tell you what happens, my darlings. You need a foundation. Because when someone asks you, please just do a general reading, you're reading their thoughts and not the facts. Because the first thing you pick up is, what are they thinking about? Well, your thoughts are not the facts. Thoughts, let me write this down. Thoughts are not facts. They are your thought process. And you can be picking up if somebody is a Looney Tune, or you can be picking up what they want to eat for lunch, and that happened to me one time because, funny enough, someone kept coming to me and asking me, they kept asking, what are you picking up about this case? What are you picking up? And I said, I don't know. Is there someone from China involved? No, there's not anyone from China. What good are you? See, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know. Why is there Chinese? And the partner who was in the room started giggling a little bit and said, oh, that's what we decided we were going to have for lunch. So you see how that goes? Do you see how that goes? All right, so let's really get into this now. Enough Auntie Zelda story time. So I was asked to dissect a few things, and these were the notes that I had and that I dissect, and I'm just going to give them to you. I was told not to give the names, which I will not, and I was told to not share with you what they told me to a certain extent. All right? So here's the ransom logic. $1 million, and that was a reward that was offered. We still have no leads. Savannah even offered to pay the ransom herself. So I'm just going to say Savannah offered. And yet there's no proof of life. A POL. When you hear that, you know what that is. A proof of life. Now here's the question when you have those things. You have to start asking why. Why not? Why not? Keep the emotions out of it. Well, I think that this person is jealous. No. You've got to base on facts. What happened? And this is why. In my heart, in my opinion, I believe that whomever did this, someone was already paid. And it wasn't 1 million, it was big bucks. Not small money, my darlings. Not small money. Somebody who wanted this done, we're talking millions. And we're talking millions from someone who has very deep pockets. Someone, somewhere, some organization, some situationship, some circumstance, they have big money and they don't care. And no, it is not from Mexico. Oh, I'm so sorry for those of you. I didn't do that right. All right, here we are. Now I want to talk a little bit about Savannah's background. She's just, I don't want to say a morning show, just a morning show host, but she is a morning show host. That's primarily what she's been around for. What does she do? Well, lifestyle. She does all kinds of little things. Cooking, celebrities. You know the thing. It's called in that business light interviews. But what happened? What happened? Because there was a huge, major change, and there's a major exception. And you can also call this soft interviews, either light or soft interviews too. So what was the major exception? Well, we're going to break it down. In September of 2019, Savannah is a guest host on Where Dateline, NBC. This is the third time in 12 years that she appeared on this show. Then what happens? Well, she interviewed a little gal by the name of Ginny, and we're going to call her Ginny G. Who was Ginny G? She was a victim of the island guy. Now, that's bad enough. Now, we're going to continue right here. During that interview, ex-Prince Andy, we're going to say him, is exposed, no pun intended. What happens after it airs? Andy's reputation collapses. And oh, does it collapse. Oh, we've got to go. I didn't check that with this. Continuing on. One month after, and I mean 1 month after the interview, Prince Andy, ex-Prince Andy, gives a disastrous interview on BBC. And oh, was it ever disastrous, because he appeared, and if you would watch it, oh boy, it was guilty. That's how he appeared. And it was right after that, soon after, he was relieved of all his duties. I don't want to say exiled, but hello. And permanently. So here's the gig. Now we're going to fast forward. Fast forward to 2026. Now this is where it gets good. Hang in there with me. Investigations into ex Andy and the island guy start resurfacing. And we're talking about arrests, prison, not just embarrassment, not somebody standing up in front of the camera and they've got their fly down, right? This is what we're talking about here. Now, the unfortunate thing is that Jenny G lost her life. She got into a terrible accident and survived, went on and made a statement that she was not in a mental state where she would depart on her own. And yet, she's now gone and got a ticket to paradise. So who remains connected to that exposure? Savannah remains. Now, why is all this happening? Well, first of all, we get a hint from the Grand Junction Google Trends. What did that tell us? It was a 100% spike about Nancy, about all of her information, pictures, etc., etc. Now, I want to tell you something about this. Let's go back here for a second. These light and soft morning interviews that Savannah would do would include her mother. And she would have her mother on the show and say, oh, yes, here's my mother. She's 84 years old. She lives in Catalina Hills, Tucson, Arizona area. Pretty much said, here she is on a little silver platter. February 1st. Nancy is gone. 19 days later, ex-Prince Andy, on his birthday, is arrested. Now, what I told these people is this. We're not looking for kidnappers. We're looking for those that will take the lives of others. Send them to paradise. Give them a departure. Because here's the logic. Here's logic. And this is the logic that I want you to remember when we're going through no matter this case and next cases, because we're all going to be together here. And by the way, I want to thank you so much for the live stream coming in. My gosh, I love this community. And I had so much fun. So I want you to come over and help me celebrate my birthday this coming weekend. And I'm going to be live March 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Got a little contest going. And I think we're going to play some Dark Shadows trivia. So come on. And I'll announce that. But here's the logic, my darlings. And I'm going to put kidnapper logic. And I want you to know that this person and persons that called me will be calling me back. And they're probably watching this now. Kidnappers do not hold the elderly for weeks and weeks. and weeks. Are we going 6 weeks now? I think. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be cavalier about this, but this has just gone on so much. But once the ransom is paid from a kidnapper, they want the victim gone immediately. They're not going to hold on to anybody. They're just not going to do that. This was never about Savannah's money. Not Savannah. Money. So let's talk about the target, which I believe Nancy is, in my opinion, based on the facts of Grand Junction, based on the facts that the sheriff of Grand Junction is taking this seriously enough, based on the fact that there are already reports to those feds who are combing that area. There's 2 reasons why this happens. First of all, it's a psychological. It's a psychologic. It's punishment. Because it creates an extreme, excruciating amounts of pain. Not only pain, but uncertainty. Not only that, it can cause health problems. It can make you it could just drive you mad. The uncertainty can drive people mad. But here's the reason why they didn't take Savannah instead, is because NBC has security. And they're around Savannah a lot. Savannah is rarely alone. But Nancy was announced that she lived by herself, independently, in Tucson, AZ. It has been public information for I don't know how long that, and this was just in November of last year, the Today Show announced and highlighted Nancy as an 84-year-old proud grandma living alone in Catalina Hills. And they made a big thing about she's living on her own. And for someone who is looking for leverage, if someone's looking for revenge, bingo. Target acquired. I want to talk to you about another dude. Let's change pens. What do you say we do? And let me know in the comments. Because, see, this is Occam's razor. And I know a lot of people are talking about these jammers and everything else. And you know what I was told? Most likely that'll be a nothing burger. There's going to be some findings. There's going to be a problem there. There's going to be finding. Because this allows everyone to continue to think about things. And also, it may just make someone think out of the blue of someone that they may know, maybe even someone that they love, could have been involved. Gee, did somebody just buy one of those Wi-Fi jammers from Amazon? Did somebody do this? Did somebody do that? Hello? That's what it's about. But they do everything. They take every lead seriously, and thank God they do. So here's the porch guy. I'm going to call him the porch pirate. The porch guy. The blurry man grabbing the shrubs on the camera. He's not the mastermind. He's not the big shot. I've said that from the word go. He's more like the hired guy. He's sloppy, but he's very effective. He got the job done, didn't he? And quite frankly, I believe he already has his payout. I already believe that he is gone. He's living his high life. He's happy. He's doing his thing. And I believe that he already is moved on. He probably doesn't have a lot of family. He probably doesn't have a wife or a girlfriend. When you have that kind of money, you just can't go and announce it, because you'll get a knock on your door. Hey, you had 13 cents in your bank account 2 days ago, and now you got $1.5 million. What's going on? And don't think that that doesn't happen. I've had clients that have had that happen, and they have been able to source and resource why that happens. But if you go sticking a bunch of money into a bank, the bank has what's called a fiduciary responsibility to call up, and a legal responsibility to call up the authorities, IRS, who may call the feds, who may call whomever, and say, hey, I want you to take a look at this dude, because he's had a running balance of 13 cents in his account. And now he's got $1.5 million? Something's wrong. Don't think that we don't love having his $1.5 million in our bank account. But if you hold that $1.5 million, we still make money on it. Even though the client can't get it, we as a bank can make money. Oh, yeah. Banks, Don't get me started on a bank. But now let's talk about the Grand Junction. Grand Junction, somebody in Grand Junction spent weeks, not just one day, because in Tucson, it was kind of like a 2 or 3 day type thing, spread over maybe a week. But this group spent weeks searching for Nancy, looking up photos, studying property information, studying, hey, if we can get into the assessor's office, so can anyone else. That's why you have to remain private, people. That's why you have to remain. Now, there's one more little tidbit here. And let's talk about the TMZ. And I'm not a big fan, that's just my opinion. But the TMZ email, February 13th, came in. And it said, and it was sent to TMZ, demanding $50K for information on the suspect, with a warning. Prepare, I don't know if you remember this, but prepare to go international. Now, I want you to know, when I was talking to these people on this phone call, they were very receptive. They asked me a few questions as we went along. They asked me if I would be interested in talking with them again, maybe more than once. They asked me, They asked me what condition I felt what Nancy was in, which I do not believe that she is still with us, unfortunately. But here's the rub, and here's what we talked about Saturday night. 2 things in investigations. You have confirmation bias, and you have expectation bias. Because this email to TMZ said prepare to go international, they automatically expectation, because she is located near the Mexican border, thought Mexico. And that assumption could very well be wrong. because I have always believed, and in my first emails, I'm sorry, not email, in my first videos, I was reading, it showed Europe. It showed Europe. Now, here's the thing, my darlings. What do you think happened to Nancy? To me, this is Occam's razor, and that's what I told these people on the phone call. So what they told me is to keep doing what I'm doing. And that right there, my darlings, is an indication that you who are watching this, and I, and this is not about me. It's a collective effort to find Nancy, and that's what it's about. I'm not asking for any money. I'm asking you to watch, share, like, subscribe. Why? Because it helps to get these videos out there. Because I'm not going to call up a live stream and say, I am a psychic medium, which makes you look like you're pretty small. No pun intended. And you want people to take you serious, and it's got to be professional, and it can't be, you know what, I think. Thinking has nothing to do with it. Basing everything on the facts, basing everything together in which you have an idea. Now, I'm going to just pull a few cards out for us because, listen, I wasn't bothered. I welcomed this call. I welcome it again. I will vet whoever calls me. So just be prepared. If you contact me and you say you have information, we don't need any more people who suppose, sort of, kind of, maybe, because we're to that point now. It has to be based on facts. It has to be based on the data. And right here, my darlings, this is what I've given you today are all facts. This is all facts, what I've just told you about, and you know as well. And the Grand Junction, that Route 50 going up toward Delta, that's pretty treacherous up and around there. And not long after Nancy went missing, there were reports of suspicious-looking vehicles coming out of this particular exit close to the Delta area. Might be 254, I'm not sure. It was a van and a truck. And they had the windows darkened. The sheriff was notified, and they put out a BOLO, which is be on the lookout for. So this is where it's coming down for. Now, I'm just going to say, my darlings, watch and see. This jam thing, it kept us all busy. But here's the thing. When experts get on shows, they're going to talk about what they know. They're not going to get on there and say, well, you know what? I think this whole idea is completely wrong. They're not going to do that. Because that's the way they've been taught. That's the way they've been trained. They may say, well, this doesn't really fit. This doesn't really seem, but it could be. But here are the facts about jammers. And I want you to listen carefully, because you're getting facts about jammers. You're not getting facts about, did that actually happen? We don't know yet. Let's get the cards. I also told them that I thought 3 people were involved. I've always said that. I feel that there is a woman, and I feel that there is a man. And I also feel that the guy on the porch was the distraction part. The other person went in and did the business. I'm not so sure I agree with the timeline, 41 minutes. I'm sure that they're going to be in and out. Unless it, here's the thing. This is an abduction for a reason. So they're going to be very cautious. And also remember, lights out. They're not going to turn the lamps on in the house. It's going to be lights out. It's going to be whatever light is there. Nancy saw a man in her house that was masked. So it's going to be just as dark on the inside to some respect. She probably had a nightlight or something in her bathroom. But you could see shadows. They're not going to turn on lights. They're not going to go through and, hey, would you like some peanut butter and crackers before we leave? No. But I also believe if they're there longer than 20 minutes, somebody's either going to use the bathroom or something. My opinion. My opinion only, not my opinion. Let's see. The moon, based on the sign of Pisces, which I believe now Mercury has moved into the sign of Pisces. There is the star, which is the sign of Aquarius, which is Nancy. This is an interesting card. This card pretty much says there's a particular goal, there's a particular way, and these two pillars are to be the gates of heaven. Now, the gates of heaven can be a particular goal. It could be a level or something. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone has to be in paradise. We are also now in the sign of Pisces. This card is a card of intuition, clairvoyance, the five clairs. This is all about having that particular idea of where someone needs to be. And you see, this road is very windy to go past these gates of heaven. This can be night and day, but you see, this card represents even a doggy, and look what we have here, a little coyote, and even this little crusty guy that doesn't have much of a brain. Sorry, buddy. That knows that there's this pull, there's this idea. And that's where this is going to happen this week, I believe. Because Mercury is over next week. It's over on the 20th. This is a card that basically says, many of us have dreams, visions, ideas of what is happening. The reason this guy is voided out is because I don't want to say it's not important, but it's not the subject of the card. Because this could be any one of us. What is all about here is this cups, which is based on emotions. This is cups. This is cups based on emotion. You see, when we're dreaming like that, things are not how they seem. They're not perceived. We've got, and most people think that this is a mountain. Let me get a pointer here. But I want you to look really, really close. This isn't a mountain. This is a castle. Do you see? So when we look at this, we have this other that's, this little hands here that's coming out and spreading the hands and saying, oh, ta-da, type thing, right? Angels sing. We have dreaming of someone. It could be, well, someone in your life is a snake. There's all kinds of different things, but just remember and look at this guy. Things are not what they appear to be. Be careful without having the facts. And you see, we've got two faces in two of the chalices. There's a face, but then there's a face which is not too nice. Which tells us that we can be thinking and dreaming of anything, but as soon as you have that dream, don't take it as prophecy or fact. It could be that sour pickle that you ate the night before. It could be that Taco Bell that just didn't sit right with you. That Waffle House waffle. Think about these things, because here's how it works. This Nine of Swords. Swords are our thoughts. Swords are communication. They're double-edged. They can help and they can hurt. Couple of things pointing out. The blue squares in this quilt, each one of them have the sign or the emblem of the zodiac, which means none of us is immune. None of us can get away from having those 3 a.m. nights where you think, okay, now if this happened this way, well, I should have said this, but if I said this, then I'm going to say, we work it out in our mind to the point where we can't sleep, and it's a restless night. But look on this bed. There is even carved in this bed this idea of aggression, but thoughts of aggression. Like this person can't get away from it. But that's okay, it's temporary, because morning comes. Morning always comes. That's a promise. Morning always comes. Now here's the star card. Nice little bikini. This star card is all about prayers, petitions. It's the sign of Aquarius, that's Nancy, and a reference to water. And please don't come at me and say, this is not a water card. No, it's not. But there's water in this card. And it's all about the thoughts of these 7 smaller stars. And then you've got the 8th star, which is shining brightly. This is all about balance. And the balance comes from, what was that song? Or not songs, the TV show, was it Dragnet? Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. I think that's what we're dealing with now, coming into this case. I know I've got to reel a lot of people in. Today on some of these that I was watching, was like, oh my gosh, these poor people are just freaking out, trying to figure this out. And the more you try to figure, the more you're going to start layering. And I believe it's very simple. And the simplicity is, someone took Nancy, she's gone. There's no ransom. There's not going to be. Nobody's getting paid except for the person who arranged it. And that payment is now in full. Mission accomplished. Once you come to that, then you can start going around and saying, okay, what is the benefit? What is the reward? Why? Why? Who, what, where, why? Why is this happening? Dealing in the forensic end is all about not circumstantial to a degree, but it's based on facts, which I still want to know why Tommaso and Annie's cards are not around. And remember, there were some front people. Follow the money, and I'm sure they have looked into their bank accounts. I'm sure they have looked into where they're going to hide money. You see, when you do a job like that, you can't put it away for a rain. You have to, it becomes mattress money. This Ace of Wands is a winter timing card, but it's also about creative and opening doors. And I submit to you, my friends, that I still believe that Nancy opened the door. I don't understand it, but sometimes, we can't explain our actions. I believe she answered the door, and she was flanked, and that's why the back door is open. Someone came in This, my darlings, this is a card of domination. They dominated her. They, meaning this particular group of three, whoever did this, it was overcoming. This is a sacrifice, but not a ritual one. I have to say this. And I believe even Savannah has thought about this. And it's very unfortunate. I'm very sorry for the family. I'm just very sorry for this. But I'm going to say once again, I'd be scratching that desert. I would be going to wherever. I would be following to whatever leads. I would hire my own people. I would be on horseback. Seriously. That's just me. This is a card of gambling. And yes, this was a big gamble. Not a casino gamble. Even though I do believe at one time there was a casino involved or near a casino. But the gambling here is a small win. Now, who is a small win for? Not for Nancy and the family. Mission accomplished once again. And then this card, it's all about the hurt and the bitterness and looking at a situation from the past. The past, and can't even mean past affairs. Affairs of who? Well, not Nancy, not Savannah, but of the ex-prince, but of the guy that had the checks going into the, the checks that were written on the Wells Fargo Grand Junction Bank that were Western Union checks. So there's a presence there of the island guy still. And we have the very unfortunate card of the fear card on top of Nancy. The unmitigated fear that someone has, she felt. We don't know what went through her mind except panic, sadly. Now here is a card that's very interesting, and it's an invitation. And that invitation is, if you doubt, wait and see. But the one interesting thing on the phone call that I talked about is that even if they have or get someone, this someone will be a patsy. And they will be held accountable for a crime probably that they may or may not have committed. But the big people, the big arrangers, the people, they're going to be gone. Will they be found someday? I don't know. Will Nancy? That question still evades me. I can't answer. I wish I could. But there's a lot of things going on, and whomever was left behind is in fear. Even though that they may be gone, and even though they've received money from a bigger entity as a reward for doing this, there's still a lot of fear, anxiety. So we have to stay tuned. I wanted to share that. I'll let you know when I get another call. But pretty much, they sat up and took notice. And many of these points they agree on. And I think we need to really get back to basics. And not fall for the, oh my gosh, it's a jammer. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God. Pull back in, and be grounded. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.